Greetings from the Retro Dome. Jabber Game Jaws here for your listening pleasure. Today I wanted to talk about arcades. Probably a year and a half ago, I did a real short video about arcade experiences when I was a kid, but I thought of a whole lot more since then that I wanted to add to it. So a portion of this will be old stuff, so if you've heard that before, I'm sorry. You can skip it or sit through it again, and a bunch of the stuff is going to be new. So when I grew up, let's see, I was born in '88. I'm currently going to be 30 in January, so 2 more months of being in my 20s. I can't believe it. Pretty crazy. So when I was a kid, like 10 and under, arcades were still a really big deal. Unfortunately, when you're under 10 years old, you don't have a whole lot of access to get to things other than exactly when your parents allow you to, and you don't have your own money, so that makes it a little tough, especially when, you know, those things were quarter-sucking machines, literally. But I did manage still to get some really good experiences. There was an arcade close to my house, about 20 minutes away. It was at the mall. It was a humongous arcade. It probably looked even bigger to me at the time because I was a kid, but it was in this really big store, and unfortunately, as I grew older, it was replaced by a FYE, so that's where I went and bought my CDs and things in high school. But anyways, so this place, this arcade at the mall, I would walk by it, and I remember, you know, being with my mom, and we're shopping, and I would just look at it so longingly, and like, I just wanted to go so bad. It just looked like so much fun. And then I had friends who would tell me about it, and they said that, you know, there was a day where you could buy wrist bracelets or something like that, and you could just play the entire day without putting in quarters. You know, you'd pay one flat price. And that just sounded like absolute heaven. I couldn't even imagine something so insane. It's really worth noting that at the time, the best gaming experiences with the best graphics and all that was at the arcade. You know, I had a Sega Genesis at home, so we had the 16-bit era covered, but there were things like Tekken, there were the shooting games at the arcade that were some of my absolute favorites. Lots of really just amazing things to be experienced. So the first arcade that I really got to spend a lot of time at was at this place called All Skate, and at All Skate they did roller hockey for kids. So I was signed up for roller hockey, and roller hockey was okay. I did have a lot of fun with it, but my absolute favorite thing about roller hockey was going to the arcade before and after, and that was the first time that my dad kind of got into the arcade a little bit. And so my dad and my younger brother, Jace, and probably my other younger siblings, but they were probably real little at the time. Anyways, we got into playing games at the arcade, and, you know, we'd play some of the racing games, which I always really liked a lot, you know, because you'd have the steering wheel and the foot pedal, and I thought that was awesome. My absolute favorite thing to play, however, was Tekken. And I would always play as the guy that was like half human, half cat, you know, he had like a cat head. I thought he was just so badass. So that was a really fun time. And I don't remember how many months I was in roller hockey, but we went to the arcade quite a few times in that period, and it was just so much fun. And I've always looked back on that time as really special, especially that I got to spend the time with my dad and my siblings, you know. And we were all just having a blast. I just think that's super awesome. So the next arcade that I spent a lot of time at, for my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary, I was also really young, probably somewhere 10, 11, and we all went to the Holiday Inn to stay for the weekend, and that was really fun because they had an arcade there. And one thing, you know, there was a lot of just normal arcade games. They also had like a claw game, and we spent so much time and so much money getting things out of that claw machine. We ended up with so many freaking stuffed animals that nobody gave a shit about, but it was just the thrill of getting them, you know. We actually got to the point where like these little kids that were there would like give us their money, and we would get stuffed toys for them. So that was like super fun. But you know, as kids at that point, it's like, get money from your parents, go play at the arcade, run out of money, go swimming at the pool, go run around, ask your parents for more money, go play some more arcades. You know, we were just bouncing back and forth between things the entire weekend, you know, just such a good time. Definitely a really, really fun memory with all my extended family that I love. Another time, same kind of deal. So I had a cousin and an aunt who I had actually never met, and the first time I met them, I think I was like probably 9 or so. And we went to another state. I don't even remember which it was. I grew up in Michigan, so I think it was like Ohio or something. And we went and we stayed at a hotel there for, I don't know, maybe 5 days or something. And between swimming and playing hide and seek and just running up and down the elevators as much as possible, we just had a freaking blast at this place. Not to mention there was actually like a cave that was close by that we got to go explore. You know, it wasn't just by ourselves, it was actually in a tour, you know, with a guide and all that, but just super, super awesome. But this place also had an arcade, and so my cousin Jake, he was a little bit older. I think Jake is like 4 years older than I am, and so there were actually arcade games there that were scaring the shit out of me. Like, they were scary to me, you know. It's laughable to think back to that, but there were some games that I was just like, I couldn't believe that he was playing, you know. It just scared the shit out of me. I remember going and telling my mom, like, I don't want to play that game, I don't, you know, all this kind of stuff. They had shooting games there, like the light gun games. Oh my gosh, those were some of my absolute favorite. I just loved like having all the targets come up, or, you know, the different guys come up, and you gotta avoid the civilians, and you gotta shoot the bad guys. Shooting out tires, shooting up barrels, of course, like one of the most iconic things in video games. Just such an awesome, amazing time. Arcades were just so great. My most recent, really fun memory was my last birthday, so almost a year ago now, probably 10 months. My wife took me to Timeline to the Arcade, is called, and it's in Hanover, Pennsylvania, and it's a really amazing arcade, and it's a pay a flat price. You get to play as many games as you want. They have tons of them. It's also really dope because after like 6 o'clock or something, you can bring in your own 6-packs, which is super, super sweet. So like an adult friendly atmosphere, drink some beer, play some games. It'd be really fun to go there with a bunch of people, or any other kind of like barcade. I know there are a lot of good barcades in special places. It's just they're not all over the place. So that's an experience that I'd still like to really have with like friends, family, cousins, whoever. You know, I'd love to get to go spend a good evening playing at a barcade. We had a really good time, me and my wife, a year ago. We played Hydro Thunder. That's like one of my all-time favorite racing games, and they had the arcade there. And we like basically tried everything. We tried like Ninja Turtles. That was freaking awesome as hell. I love that. The side-scrolling beat 'em up. Did a lot of the racing games, a lot of the shooting games. You know, it was just awesome to get to relive that, and that was like one of the best birthday gifts I could have been given. So it was a really good time. You guys, what are your arcade stories? Were you alive at the time when arcades were a big deal? Were you older than me and maybe got to experience them a whole lot more? I know it used to be arcades were everywhere. They were like every 7-Eleven that you'd go into. You know, it was definitely the thing to do for a while. So let me know your experiences. I'd love to hear about them. Hope you guys are having a great one. Peace.